226 from St. Andrews, Scotland, the Matchtown, the Great Scot. We welcome this young man home again, Dangerous Danny McShain. One hour at a time.
Dan Toby has just left the ring, and out to the center of the ring now, the referee, Ted Grice, giving the instructions to the wrestlers. In this bout, 2 falls out of 3, a 1-hour time limit. The Great Scot, he of the long hair of St. Andrews, Scotland, coming into the ring at 214 pounds. His opponent at 212 pounds, Hollywood's own, the one and only, the original, dangerous Danny McShain. Danny has the long flowing robe on. Danny McShain, in our opinion, is one of the greatest wrestlers in the game today and one of the most colorful wrestlers. Anything can happen whenever Danny McShain is in a bout, and it usually does. The Great Scot of St. Andrews, Scotland, there's the bell, and here we go. Dangerous Danny out like a flash. There he's pouring it on right away. He's letting him have it, and down goes the Great Scot. Dangerous right in on top of him, and there's a body slam and a body press. One only, but the Great Scot pulls out there by making there. Watch it close. Ed Grice says, break out of it, Danny. And he looks up, what do you mean? And Danny kneels on his Adam's apple as he gets up. There's the dangerous Danny McShain strut, just like a peacock. Ha, 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 ha. Good to see dangerous Danny in the ring again. He's a rough and tough customer. 15 years ago, he knocked me out in Portland, Oregon, when I was at ringside. And I can testify he can really sock with that right hand. Dangerous Danny McShain and the long flowing hair, the Great Scot of St. Andrews, Scotland. Third man in the ring, referee Ted Grice, into the arm and neck hold, the referee's hold. Everyone has the advantage for the moment. There's a hard right there. There we go. Boom. Bam. Down goes Danny, right on the back of his lap. Here we go. Boom. And Danny is groggy. Down he sits right on the rope. His head against one rope. 3, 4, 5, 6. And up to his feet is dangerous Danny. Danny says, take it easy, take it easy. Here we go. Watch Danny pour it on. An over and under headlock. There's a count of 1. He uses every trick in the book. So the referee has his hands full whenever Danny McShain's in the ring. Believe me.
What are you doing in there?
And he says, I'm not doing a thing. Danny is still holding on to the Great Scot. He says, Ted, I'm not doing a thing. I'm a very clean wrestler. Yes, sir. Dangerous Dan lets any opponent he's in the ring with know he's been in a wrestling match, believe me. Standing on the Great Scot's hair now. Ted Grice can't see it.
You get the foot off his hair.
Forcing him to break, and as he breaks, he comes down with a knee drop to the chin. Here comes the Great Scot. Great Scot's immediately above us. There's dangerous Danny. The Great Scot comes up with a wrist lock. Long arm bar and wrist lock. Danny's getting ready to pull the hair and send the Great Scot to the canvas, but Ted's watching. A figure 4 wrist lock, a long arm bar. Danny is gouging at the eyes. There he pulls his hair and slams the Great Scot to the canvas. Then he looks at the audience and says, "Oh, no, I wouldn't pull his hair. Oh, no. Oh, brother." The referee works harder than the wrestlers whenever McShane's in the ring, believe me. He's got his hands full.
Hey, cut it out!
This is cut it out. And he says, "I'm not doing a thing illegal. Why don't you give me a break, Ted?" Oh, brother. There's a count of 2.
Watch your shoulders. I'm gonna watch you. The referee.
Danny says, "Watch his shoulders." And Ted says, "I gotta watch you." Danny now is using the trunks to get those shoulders from the camera. He said, "No, I wouldn't hold his trunks." And he gets hold of those trunks and puts the Great Scot's shoulders to the canvas. Danny's in on top of the Great Scot like a blanket. And the Great Scot comes up with a knee lift to the top of the head. Sends Danny sailing. Danny's up to his feet. So far, this has been mild for a match with Danny McShain in the ring. There's that old peacock strut and that prance and dance. There's a reverse headlock, the variation of the headlock which we call a Zaharias hold. Said it was a choke. He said, "I wasn't choking." Danny pulled his neck down on top of it. As a matter of fact, that's what he did. Crowd booing McShain. They may boo him, but they love him. They come out to see him, believe me. Danny McShain, Great Scot. There's Danny pouring it on again. Uses them all. Short chops between the eyes don't do the Great Scot any good. He cocks his fist at Ted Grice, but he better not, because Ted will disqualify him quicker than he can drop a hat. Side headlock by the Great Scot. Danny's pulling his hair and slams him to the canvas. Ted Grice says, "Break it up, Dan, break it up." And Danny breaks it up. Danny sends the referee right back on the back of his lap. Ted has a grin on his face, shakes his head. Ted's a very good-natured guy. But if he'd have connected, Ted wouldn't have been so good-natured. There's the Danny McShain strut, the old peacock. Strut and prance. And then sometimes he goes into a dance, too. He says, "Ted, leave me alone," he says. There's the Zaharias hold. Reverse headlock, right by the Great Scot. Danny pulls his hair and slams him to the canvas. But I didn't do anything, and all the spectators saying he pulled his hair. Fans are saying, "Break it up," but Ted didn't see it. He said, "I'm warning you." He says, "Count the man down." Danny says, "Count the man down." He's pulling Danny's hair, and he says, "Keep your hands off of me," and he's pulling them right off. There's a hard right to the midsection by Grice. The fans give him a big hand. He says, "Don't do it, Danny. Let one go at my chin and connect, and I'll disqualify you." The Great Scot says, "Why don't you two fellas wrestle?" Very good. Oh, brother. There's always a show, and Danny McShane's in the ring. Very colorful character. Is that reverse chin lock, a figure 4 chin lock by the great Scot. He sends McShain to the canvas. There's a count of 2 on McShain. Figure 4 chin lock. There's a count of 2. And he takes a count of 2 and then rolls his shoulder off the canvas. He's trying to get up into a position to pull the hair, but Ted's watching him and he knows it. Reverse chin lock on Danny. Scott's applying a lot of pressure on it. Danny comes around to a sitting position. Danny's getting up into a position to let that right hand go, too. He can only get it cocked. He pulled his hair as Ted was looking to see if it was a strangle. Danny says, no, I didn't pull his hair. He's cussing the audience here for telling Ted that he used the hair. Ted says, you sure you didn't pull his hair? Knowing very well that he did. Knowing Danny. Danny uses every trick in the book to win these matches. And he knows them all, believe me. We've been watching Danny now for over 15 years. Anything can happen whenever he's in the ring, and usually does. Chris Scott still on the canvas. There's a fast count on Danny, and he gets out of it just before the count of 5. He's right in already, and they go into the arm and neck hold. And as Danny hits the canvas for that figure 4 chin lock applied by the great Scott. There's a count of 2 on McShain. The shoulders are rolling off the canvas. Danny says it's a choke, and Ted says, no, it's all right. It's a figure 4 chin lock, and that's exactly what the great Scot is applying. Figure 4 chin lock on McShain. Lots of room under the chin. Danny says it's a strangle, and it isn't a strangle. Plenty of room, and he pulls the hair as Grice checks the strangle, and the fans are booing again. Anything is apt to land in that ring also, and McShane's in there. The spectators get a little hot under the collar. We've seen a couple of riots in our time when McShane's in the ring. One time in particular, I remember about three guys came into the ring down in Portland, and Danny McShain really let them have it. They don't think they ever got into a ring again, because Danny really let one go from the floor on each one of them. Danny's still working on the great Scot. There hasn't been many legitimate wrestling halls. Ted says, Danny, cut it out. I can't watch you every second. The fans are yelling at the great Scot to get up and let him have it. Danny is working on him there with his free hand. How, we can't see. Maybe you can see from the angle of the camera. And you're seeing. There's a head scissors with the Scot, and Danny hits the canvas. Head scissors, and the great Scot's on top again, and he's pounding his knees so that it gives a little more jar to Danny's head in that head scissors. Watch Danny kick around, trying to kick out of it. Danny bridges around now, gets into a position. There's a 1, 2, a count of 2 on the great. There's a count of 2, and Danny kicks him in the stomach to break the hold. He's right in on the half top of him. There goes Danny. He throws his head right into the cross buckle. Gets him up again. There's a body slam. Jumps on him. And there's that reverse leg lock. It's a reverse leg lock. And Danny gets the fall. The way Danny McShain applies that reverse leg lock, he applies it so the pressure is almost as great as on a reverse single Boston crab. He lets him have a rabbit punch. He's already won the fall, but he still wants to soften up his opponent so that he could perhaps let the fans go home early and win 2 in a row, ready for the second fall in this match. Danny McShain won the first fall in what we call a reverse leg lock, a very vicious form, almost as vicious as the reverse single Boston crab, and Danny informed us in between rounds that he calls that hold the Irish Cannonball because he says he reverses that leg lock and cannonballs down into the pit of the stomach, applying a lot of pressure. Well, that's as good a name as any. So the first fall of the match has gone to Danny McShain with the Irish Cannonball, and so far in this match has been the great Scot with a bear hug on Danny at the present time. Danny countering around there, trying to get into a position to come out of the hole. Reaching for the ropes, or he could come up with a handful of hair, or he could come up with some short jabs to the midsection. He could do a little judo to the side of the head. He's really applying the pressure on this bear hug. He has his fists clenched. Danny's reaching for the ropes as the great Scot applies more pressure on this bear hug. He reaches for Ted Grice and gets a hold of him. Danny goes into the ropes. Well, he accomplished his purpose. As they break, the great Scot comes up with a knee lift to the kidneys, right to the small of the back. And the fans applaud and go crazy. 3, 4. And he's up to a sitting position. Here comes the great Scot. He grabs him by the head of the hair. He gets him against the ropes, and there's another knee lift to the small of the back. 2, 3, 4. Danny's up to a sitting position. He's getting up. The great Scot better be watch out, and Danny's fainting. Danny faints like this lots of times. They come into there, and there goes the great Scot, just as I thought. Right into the ropes. Here he goes again, right out into the laps of the spectators in the front row at the far side of the ring. Here he comes up again, and he comes in with a front headlock, a knee lift to the chin. The great Scot sits down on the apron of the ring. He's coming in, he's hot under the collar, and here they go. Watch it. Anything can happen, and probably will here. Got a side headlock on McShain. McShain's trying to get him into position to toss him into the ropes. Watch it, here he goes. A shoulder butt, and he hits the canvas. Danny lets him go clear over, and he lands outside the ring. He hurdled him, straddled him, really went through those ropes. Take it easy. The man says, come on, let's go, Scot. Take him into camp. Let's keep this match alive. Scot has to win this fall to keep us alive. 2 falls to Danny would wind it up. Danny said, let's shake hands. Let's make this a scientific match. Famous last words. If the great Scot shakes hands, believe me. Like a guy that keeps on telling lies because he's so used to doing it. Danny couldn't wrestle doing it he had to. He used all the illegal tricks for so many years, I don't think he could wrestle without using an illegal hold. He sure colorful, and the fans boo him and yell and hope he gets beat, but they come back to see him. Danny McShain and the great Scot. Coming to that almanac hole, there's a Scot over the ropes. They tell him to break. Watch Danny at the break. He thought better of it. Discretion, said Mr. McShain, is the better part of valor. He said, let's shake hands. See, he said, I didn't hit you. Didn't I step back? Shake hands. And he kicks him in the stomach and gives him a right to the jaw and has him over the ropes. He wraps him up in the ropes. Now watch him pour it on. What's this one? There goes McShain. Wow. He really went sailing. Got some of his own medicine. There goes Danny down on the apron of the ring. He gets up again. Danny goes in. He's inside the ring. Here we go. Watch this. That's the Highland Fling. The Highland Fling. 1, 2, 3. Scot's famous hold. He flings his opponent with a whip wrist lock into the ropes. And as he flings back from the ropes, he comes in over him with a body press. The Highland Fling. So the match is kept alive. Danny McShain winning the first fall with what he calls the Irish Cannonball. The great Scot winning the second. Watch this. Ooh! He pats him on the shoulder. As Danny turns around, he really let him have it. Oh, brother. Well, it's a fall apiece. The first fall with the Irish Cannonball to McShain, the second to the great Scot with the Highland Fling. That's the action to the moment, we think, from Hollywood Legion Stadium in Hollywood, California. third and deciding fall. Dangerous Danny McShain of Hollywood, California. The Great Scot of St. Andrews, Scotland. A fall apiece. The first fall to McShain with the Irish Cannonball. The second fall to the Great Scot with the Highland Plank. Third man in the ring, Ted Grice. This is an hour time limit bout. Getting 30 minutes remaining in the bout. Anything can happen. Probably will. There's Danny using the half choke in the trunks. And gets the Great Scot down to the canvas. But Ted is always in the opposite position and missed it. He's watching close, but Danny's a very smart wrestler. He's holding on to the trunks and a reverse chin lock. Notice the way Danny applies this. It's a reverse headlock with the forearm, the part of the arm over the forehead and his hand behind the neck. Then he uses the opponent's trunks to apply more pressure and leverage whenever the referee isn't watching. Watch this. Anything can happen out of this hole. Great Scot countering. He may get Danny off balance. This twisting headlock. There goes McShain, and down he goes. The Great Scot coming up on top of Danny with a reverse headlock. Nice exhibition of strength. We do believe the Great Scot is more powerful than McShain. McShain more tricky and much tougher. With the rough and ready school, anything can happen. We've seen opponents knocked out cold by Danny, and we've seen Danny have 18 stitches taken in the top of his head there when he hit against the iron pole outside the ring. Dangerous Danny McShain taking the worst of it at the moment from the Great Scot. A fall apiece. The match is even. Great Scot using this reverse headlock. It's almost a smother over the nose and mouth. Danny says it's a smother, Ted. He points to his neck. It couldn't be a strangle. His arm isn't even near it. And he reaches for his hair, and Ted is right on top of him. Danny trying to twist around so he can put his chin under the arm to show that it's a strangle. Danny reaches for the ropes and is outside. Ted Grice can only do one thing. He must break them up. He breaks. Great Scot is waiting for Danny to get up. 5. Danny's up to his knees, up to his feet. There we go. There's a full front headlock by the Great Scot. A full front headlock by the Great Scot. They're against the ropes. Anything could happen here, and Danny comes out of it, pulling the hair, and comes up with the side of headlock, a short jab in between the eyes, a right to the side of the head. Ted says, watch that, keep that fist open. Danny's in on top of him, comes up now, straddles the ropes. Great Scot jumps down, and there goes McShain. Wow, he really let him have it. 1, 2, but Danny rolls his shoulders off the canvas. Off the canvas. Ted Grice right on top of him. Great Scot over Danny like a blanket. We can't see what's happening with Ted Grice. Ted's right in on the hole. He's all mixed up in it. Ted just shakes his head. Danny's reaching for Ted. Scot in on top of Danny like a blanket. He changes his hold now. He's getting him around into a hammerlock. Applying a full hammerlock on Danny's left arm. Dangerous Danny McShain, not so dangerous now. The Great Scot from St. Andrews, Scotland applies the pressure on this vicious hammerlock, pulling those fingers up between the shoulder blades. Danny moaning and groaning. And he says, no, no, no. Ted says, do you give up? And he says, no. He shakes his head. But he has that fist. We can see it right up between the shoulder blades. Danny trying to get up into a position to come out of it by pulling the hair. Do you want to give it up? Danny says, no. He's applying the pressure. Danny really moaning. As the Great Scot applies the pressure. Ted Grice keeps out of his way. They're up to their feet. Danny could go for the hair here very easy. There he goes. He pulls the hair. Watch this. Danny's on the outside of the ring. The Great Scot inside the ring. Great Scot now wrapping his arm around the rope. And Ted Grice tells him to break. Here comes Danny into the ring. The great Scot is right on top of him, comes up with a hammerlock again. Reaching for the hair, and he pulls him down to the canvas and breaks out of it. Goes for the far side of the ring. Danny is close to the ropes, trying to get the circulation back. He's a very smart wrestler. He always believes that discretion's a better part of valor. Here's a count of 3. Danny is still fainting. He's playing possum. Getting that circulation back in that arm. Take it easy, Scot. Let's have a clean match. Let's let the victor be victorious with a scientific wrestler. That Scot really crossed him up. Reached out on that one. Comes up with a figure 4 wrist lock. There's a figure 4 wrist lock on Danny. That's our left arm. Comes up with a full hammerlock. Danny has to get out of this one soon. That arm is plenty sore from all the beatings it's taken from those previous hammerlocks. Danny's trying to get him over, and he pulls his hair, pulls him out of it, comes down on top of him. By pulling his hair, he hit through but the Scot comes up with a hammerlock, and Danny's face down on the canvas, and the Scot's applying the pressure. Ted Grice asked Danny if he's had enough. Danny says no. Once Danny here, he's going to reach for that hair again, and he turns him down and comes down on top of him, but the Scot comes right out of it again with the same hammerlock. As he hits the canvas, the Scot rolls right up with the hammerlock. Danny's going to get in position to go through the legs, but the Scot sees what he's doing, gets up to his feet. There's a whip. He's really applying the pressure on this arm. Flipping it one way and then the other. One way and then the other, and Danny's going for the ropes. Really applying the pressure. And there goes the Highland Fling. Down he goes. Danny's on top of him. 1, 2. But Danny pats his shoulders before the count of 3. And he comes in. He lets him have it. There he goes over Danny's shoulders. Danny's on top of him. And Danny wins the match. Scot is in on top of him, but McShain is the winner. There was the Highland Fling that backfired, and Danny McShain patted his shoulders. Scot thought he'd won. Body press. And the winner, Dangerous Danny McShain over the great Scot of St. Andrews, Scotland. That's all there is. There isn't any more. That's the action to the moment. This is Jack Little speaking from the Hollywood Legion Stadium in Hollywood, California. Dangerous Danny McShain, the winner. Wishing you all goodbye and good luck.